Easter Bunny. Thank you, Easter Bunny. Thank you, Easter Bunny. Thanks, Easter Bunny. Thank you, Easter Bunny. Thanks, Easter Bunny.
All the world loves M&M's. They're pure milk chocolate joy in a candy shell for everyone.
M&M's chocolate candies. The milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Thanks, Easter Bunny.
Just like this car, my body needs the right kind of fuel. Del Monte, pineapple grapefruit.
New Del Monte pineapple blends. 50% juice, 100% great taste anytime. It's the sensible alternative.
Get real fruit energy, concentrated in Del Monte fruit snacks like yogurt raisins or tropical fruit mix. Tasty, chewy snacks packed with concentrated fruit energy. They're a powerful good snack.
The doctor said I could take Anacin 3 for my headaches. It's 100% aspirin-free.
The same aspirin-free acetaminophen that's in Tylenol tablets with no coating. But Anacin 3 adds a protective coating for easier swallowing.
Take 3. Anacin 3.
Denise Bradley is having an asthma attack. She can't blow out the simple match. For occasional attacks, try Primatene Mist. In as fast as 15 seconds, Primatene restores free breathing. Primatene Mist, the fastest type relief known.
I am proud to be me. I'm very proud to be me. If I'm the best me that I can be, then I'm proud, so proud to be me.
And I am proud to be me.
When I look in the mirror,
Teddy Ruxpin, Grubby and Fob Hand Puppets from Worlds of Wonder.
I don't want to do this.
It'll be great.
I'll be scared.
Just think how glad you'll be when you're all done and maybe we'll all go to McDonald's.
I'll be glad when I'm done. I'll be glad when I'm done. I'll be... Think McDonald's. Oh, I wish I were already there instead of here playing this song. Oh, I would have a big chocolate shake, a cheeseburger, and also fries. And I would eat my fries myself and not give any to my dumb brother. Hands off, they're mine, all mine. Oh boy, my recital is almost done. It wasn't bad, I'm still alive. And now I can have my chocolate shake, my cheeseburger, and also fries.
Now lashes get long, lashes get lush.
Without all the fuss.
CoverGirl Long and Lush Mascara goes on clean without clumping, stays on clean without smudging.
Without all the fuss.
CoverGirl Long and Lush Mascara.
For a beautiful body, just pump, pump. For beautiful skin, you just pump.
It's here. Medicated Noxzema Skin Cream with a pump. It cleans like no soap can and doesn't dry.
For beautiful skin, you just pump.
Noxzema with a pump.
I was cramming for a huge history final on 500 pages of text. It was way after dinner, and I was getting hungry.
Snickers satisfies you.
You eat a Snickers and you say, okay, now I can face the 17th century again. Snickers really takes care of the hungries.
Packed with peanuts, peanut butter nougat, caramel, and milk chocolate.
Satisfies you.
Packed with peanuts, Snickers really satisfies.
If I want something to tide me over, I go for Snickers every time.
The NBC Movie of the Week returns following these messages.
Sunday, there's something fishy in the forest. When the Smurfs and an all-new Kissy Fur join together for a one-hour special, it's going to be...
Lots of fun.
Sunday. This Sunday, the mission where the lives of 10 men rest in the power of one. Sunday, a special one-hour episode. Amazing story.
Honey! Honey!
To those whose lives are stimulating enough, we offer the caffeine-free choice of a new generation, Pepsi Free. Made with absolutely no caffeine, just great Pepsi taste. Caffeine-free, Pepsi-free, because life is stimulating enough in regular and diet.
He was a little skinny guy. I figured we could help him. Knew we couldn't work miracles, but we could help him. He says he's here to help us. Says from the Southwestern Bell Yellow Pages. I told him the Ninox Yellow Pages works just fine for me. And besides, what does a guy from the Southwest know about New York? I told him that book of his wasn't going to build him a big business. But if he carried a couple around under each arm, it would probably build up his upper body.
There's only one official Yellow Pages for New York Telephone, the 9X Yellow Pages.
News 4 prompts a federal probe at the convention center at 11. We continue with The Sound of Music, starring Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer.
Get your steel shined up, grab a stick of juicy fruit. The taste is gonna move ya. Take a sniff, pull it out. The taste is gonna move you when you pop it in your mouth. Juicy fruit is gonna move ya. It juices soft, it gets right to ya. Juicy fruit, the taste is gonna move ya.
When you compare the number of nutrients in each of these best-selling supplements, Advanced Formula Centrum outnumbers them all, with 4 more nutrients than Theragran M, 9 more than Myadeck, 13 more than Within, 13 more than One-A-Day Essential. And Centrum has calcium. Some don't. Centrum outnumbers them all. Centrum, more complete than the others, from A to Zinc.
Here's the difference between wet air fresheners and Dry Breezes air and fabric deodorizer. Wet air fresheners aren't meant for fabric. Dry Breezes is dry. Its luxurious fragrance freshens the air without wet fallout on fabric and furniture. Dry Breezes, freshness without wetness.
Why am I standing here holding this can of butter flavor Pam? Soybeans?
Nature's soybean helps make butter flavor Pam cooking spray the low-fat, low-calorie, delicious, buttery way to cook.
Buy some. Butter flavor Pam.
It's the Red Lobster Shrimp Festival. With so many special entrees, you want to bring the gang and try them all.
Thank you.
Trade some new shrimp trio. Look at all this for shrimp and creamy Alfredo sauce.
May I?
Share some spicy New Orleans style shrimp.
You first.
Or one of 10 special entrees starting at $6.95. At the Red Lobster Shrimp Festival.
Después de iglesia voy a fumar una hierba. Amén. Karen Yak se jodió la sucia vida. Amén.
Oh my goodness. I mean, why is it that I expected this result, yet I still find it fucking hilarious? Why? How is that even a thing? How is that even a thing? I mean, like at this point, listen, people. I don't know if y'all ever seen the movie Kingpin. You know, in the movie Kingpin, where people just randomly said stuff like, I don't want to get Munsoned. That's like at this point, like, don't get yaxed. Like in the true crime community, don't get yaxed. Okay? Because it's like, and the reason why this is what's messed up is like this kind of misfortune. You know what I mean? Like, I don't wish this on people. You know what I mean? I didn't even wish this on her. Maybe I did. But I'm just saying, this kind of thing, it's like, for me, it's like, if it happens, it happens. You know? Like, it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. The way the universe has a way of unfolding, you know, as it should. I understand this. I am one with this. At least I try to be. And so, but the thing is like, it couldn't have happened to a shittier person. And the way that it was handled is just the funniest shit in the world to me. Like, what did she think? That she was just going to close her eyes and cover her ears and be like, la, 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 you can't sue me. La, 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 la. That's not how the law works. That's not how critical thinking works. That's, I mean, come on. Come on. Oh my goodness. So let me find this real quick. Let me go ahead and read this. So there's these screenshots, okay? There's these screenshots, and there's this article. Now, I don't know this news source, whatever, but I mean, I don't imagine a major news source having any interest in this, really. But it's still funny to me. So, as you can see here, there's this there's this screenshot, I guess, of like in probably taking place in her group or something to that effect. And I don't know who Taylor is. I just see Critical K. I see her little picture, her avatar here on the bottom. It says here, I don't really know. Now let me read the so this is, what is the name? Reason.com. Okay. I don't know their reputation, but the article's pretty funny. So it says here, default judgment in libel case, no more Lucy in the football. And I find this funny. It says here, this little screenshot, I don't really know anything. The court threatened to sanction me again. I guess that's a response to whatever was up there. Critical Case says the court threatened to sanction me again. Last time they sanctioned me $100. Who knows what they will do this time? But I'm not going there. Ever. It's just not even possible. Now, says here, from Judge Carlton Reeves' decision today in Andriacchio versus Yax, plaintiff Ray Andriacchio is the mother of Christian Andriacchio, a young man who allegedly died under suspicious circumstances, quote unquote, in 2014. She resides in Lauderdale County, Mississippi, where she is a mental health service provider. Defendant Karen Yax is a prominent social media figure, quote unquote, known to her followers as the Critical K. She operates a webcast where she discusses real crime stories. She is a resident of Michigan. On March 21st and April 11th, 2021, Yax discussed Christian Andriacchio's death on her webcast. Yax stated that Ray Andriacchio has really dominated the narrative about this case via intimidation, bullying, outright lies, bribery, getting people drunk, and getting young people drunk, among other claims. Yax also stated, I really do believe that Hayes Mitchell, a different patient, was treated by Ray, and Hayes is now dead with a drug overdose. He's dead also by self-harm. So she has a son that is dead by self-harm, and she has a patient who is dead by self-harm, is what Canceled Karen said on her channel. Andriacchio contends that these statements leave the false impression that she had somehow caused or contributed to their deaths. Andriacchio adds that these statements have defamed or painted her in a false light, thereby causing her to suffer injury to her reputation and or emotional damage. Accordingly, she filed the suit against Yax on June 4th, 2021, alleging defamation and false light invasion of privacy. Canceled Karen filed her answer on June 24th, 2021, in which she asserted that this court lacks personal jurisdiction over her. Yax then filed a motion to dismiss on August 12th, 2021, which this court subsequently denied on November 19th, 2021. For the order denying the motion, see here. The key rationale was that a review of the available communications suggests that the defendant intentionally and purposely wished her words to impact the plaintiff in Mississippi, which led to a conclusion that Mississippi courts, state and federal, had personal jurisdiction over the lawsuit based on those communications. Back to the default judgment opinion. On November 30th, 2021, the magistrate judge assigned to this case scheduled a telephonic case management conference on December 14th, 2021. Court staff mailed and emailed notice of the hearing to Canceled Karen on December 14th. However, Canceled Karen failed to dial into the conference. Dude. After issuing an order to show cause, the magistrate judge sanctioned Yax $100. Docket numbers 15 and 17. Canceled Karen timely paid the sanction. Discovery commenced. Okay, so real quick, Canceled Karen thought that it would be a good idea to not even call. Like, all you had to do was call. You know what I'm saying? They gave her the window. She can't afford to go to Mississippi, but they gave her the window. All you got to do is call. You call in and deal with the lawsuit, period. But she didn't even call. She didn't even bother to call. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. That's, at this point, the last name is synonymous with being just fucked. I'm just saying, don't get yaxed, people. If you're gonna handle crime cases, don't get yaxed. Now, in August 2022, Yax moved to have a fast approaching settlement conference conducted by telephone or video. The magistrate judge denied the request, but postponed the settlement conference to allow Canceled Karen additional time to make travel arrangements. The magistrate judge further ordered the parties to confer and select mutually agreeable dates to hold the conference in person. Andriacchio says Karen refused to comply with the court's order to confer and pick a date for the settlement conference. So she didn't even so here's Ray Andriacchio, and what she's doing is trying to actually set up some sort of exchange between the two of them. And she's to where they can come to some sort of agreement on a date to settle this, right? So Canceled Karen ignores her. On September 1st, 2022, the magistrate judge scheduled a settlement conference for October 18th, 2022. Canceled Karen was directed to appear in person. A text-only order dated October 14th repeated this instruction. Yax, however, failed to appear. Andriacchio subsequently moved for sanctions pursuant to Rule 16 for canceled Karen's failure to attend the settlement conference, and filed the present motion for default judgment under Rules 16F and 37B, 2A, VI, whatever the hell all that means. Canceled Karen argues that her absence from the settlement conference was due to economic constraints, lack of access to reasonable legal counsel, and a legitimate fear for her physical safety, mental health, and well-being. Yeah, because I totally buy that. In reply, Andriacchio contends that Yax's poverty is very much in doubt, quote unquote, observing that Yax mailed her original motion to dismiss from Honolulu, Hawaii. Now, she lives in Michigan, folks. Okay, do the math. She actually filed her motion to dismiss from Hawaii. Like, that's not, how is that not straight up some that's straight out of the Daybell Vallow thing. I'm getting sued for $10 million, but fuck the world, I'm going to Hawaii. Wow. On February 1st, 2024, the undersigned schedule of motions hearing for March 20th, 2023, the scheduling order specifically noted the following. The defendant is reassured that she will not waive her personal jurisdiction defense merely by appearing for a hearing in this case. She has already preserved her jurisdictional defense for further review. On March 10th, the magistrate judge granted Andriacchio's motion for Rule 16 sanctions in the amount of $895.67. That sum is due to the clerk of court on or before May 1st, 2023. Now, see, so basically, and I went over this before, basically what's going on there is Andriacchio and her attorneys are getting sick and tired of having to spend money to show up to court when she's not even going to show up. So she should have to pay for that, basically, is what they're saying. And the judge seems to agree. Oh, Cherry. Yes. There are certain regions, certain corners of the earth where if you are a Karen, you are also considered a twatopotamus. Just so you know, according to Cherry. So you know. On March 20th, Yax did not appear at the motions hearing before the undersigned. The court denied canceled Karen's outstanding motions as abandoned and pledged to rule on the outstanding motion for default judgment in due course. The Fifth Circuit has refrained the standard of default judgments into one, with four requiring findings that 1, the discovery violation was committed willfully or in bad faith. 2, the client, rather than counsel, is responsible for the violation. 3, the violation substantially prejudiced the opposing party. And 4, a lesser sanction would not substantially achieve the desired deterrent effect. In this case, the plaintiff has demonstrated all 4 elements of the applicable legal standard. All 4. All 4. Patricia Sell, welcome. Member for 5 months. First, Yax has repeatedly violated court orders by failing to participate in telephonic and in-person hearings. These violations have been knowing and willful, although she acknowledges in her filings. Now, I'm reading the article. Yeah, this is very interesting. So this is the article's opinion here. First, Yax has repeatedly violated. This is not opinion. This is fact. This happened. We were following this in real time. First, Yax has repeatedly violated court orders by failing to participate in telephonic and in-person hearings. These violations have been knowing and willful, although she acknowledges in her filings that her presence would be beneficial to the court in injunctioning this unfortunate matter. she has texted a third party explaining that she will not come to Mississippi for this case, ever, quote unquote. Despite the undersigned's order reassuring that canceled Karen, she would not forfeit her personal jurisdiction defense by appearing for a motions hearing, she failed to attend that too. And while Yak's protests that she lacks funding to participate in this litigation, the excuse only goes so far, since she could have participated in the telephonic case management conference without incurring any cost. So basically, yeah, her excuse, basically what this sums up is her excuse is that she doesn't have any fucking money, but at the same time, the telephonic appearance that she failed to attend, that she flat out ignored, wouldn't have cost her a thing. So, second, because Yax is proceeding pro se, there is no question that she, and not an attorney, is solely responsible for her conduct. So there's no question. Like, you could argue that your lawyer is incompetent in a situation like this, but she can't argue because she is her own lawyer. She's absolutely responsible for all of this behavior, 150%. Nobody's advising her to do this. Nobody worth a shit anyway. And I can't think of a sound-minded person that would not advise her to at least attend telephonically, at the very least. Next, there is ample record evidence that Yax's failures to appear have prejudiced the opposing party. Every time the plaintiff and the attorney travel to Jackson for a hearing, they incur nearly $900 in expenses. When she plays this game of, quote, Lucy and the football, therefore, Yax is running up her opponent's bill. That is the definition of prejudice. Lastly, a lesser sanction would not substantially achieve Yax's participation in this lawsuit. Warnings and show cause orders have borne no fruit. If canceled Karen lacks resources, a third award of monetary sanctions would be pointless. Incarceration, meanwhile, would likely be too severe a sanction. Given this record, it is unclear what a lesser sanctions could have been appropriate following the district court's warnings and second chances. So they're saying that, you know, they're not going to throw her in jail for not showing up to court. Now, whether or not they throw her in jail for not paying what she owes, that's a different story, but we're not even there yet because they haven't even decided what she has to pay. She just lost the default. That's it. Like, the judge is just like, yeah, okay, plaintiff wins. That's it. For reasons and on this record, the rare sanction of default judgment is warranted. For these reasons on the record, the rare sanctions of default judgment is warranted. Andriacchio's motion for default judgment is granted. An evidentiary hearing is necessary to determine an appropriate amount of damages. One will be scheduled shortly. Yax is invited to participate. Congratulations to Matthew Wilson, who represents Andriacchio for a different case arising out of the death of Andriacchio's son. See disturbing government release autopsy. Blah, blah, blah. Nope, not interested in that. So yeah. So that's where that's where canceled Karen's situation is now. And I found this humorous because I caught this last night. I was just kind of thumbing through YouTube, stumbled onto this little gem, and thought it was pretty funny. This is not a long video. Bro, like, I at least mute my mic, and she has the same kind of mic I do. Like, I at least mute my mic if I'm swallowing my coffee. Like, I have it right here. I always see. And then there's no reason to sound as gross as you fucking are, bro. Like, There's no reason for that. This is how she waits for chat to fill up, by the way.
Hey, Kristen!
Oh my God, bro. Why did you do that? Okay.
An hour and a half. Okay, so I'm not going to be on long because I just did an hour and a half. I know, Catherine, right? I just did an hour and a half long members only live over on Facebook. I've got some exciting news about my Facebook.
I just did an hour and a half live on my Facebook, and tomorrow we'll be streaming from MySpace, my MySpace. So just head on over.
Book situation. I have live ads now, and I have the ability to have memberships. It's the same as on here, but I can have memberships where I have exclusive content and stuff like that. I'm still going to be doing the regular lives, but I'm going to be doing exclusive stuff for my Facebook memberships. Hi, Joe.
Now, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who are not privy to what's going on here, so this person who just lost this $10 million lawsuit. Now, I don't know if she's going to be ordered to pay $10 million. That amount has not actually been settled as to what she has to pay. That's the amount she's being sued for, but and she lost. It's just, I mean, she doesn't have $10 million. So the judge is probably going to just find some way to where the plaintiff is going to at least come out with something, you know? So at least that would be my guess. I don't know anything about the law, but this is funny. This is humorous because this streamed the day that the judgment was made and those documents were released and made public. Those documents are out there. They're out there. I had about 10 people email them to me. So they're out there. So the reason why I call her canceled Karen, folks, is because she once went by a name called the Critical K. Now on Facebook and all these other places, she goes by the name of Critical K still, but she was booted off of YouTube because for the same reasons that she is being sued for $10 million. She's not supposed to have a YouTube channel. This is her alternate channel, and she's still streaming from it, but she's eligible by the usual YouTube standards. Thank you, Patricia Sell. I appreciate that. She's eligible by the basic YouTube standards to be monetized, but she's not eligible to even have a channel because she got her channel removed. She's supposed to be booted off of YouTube. She's not supposed to have a platform here. So she started this alt channel, and she has, I mean, she usually maybe, like, if she's lucky, has 100 people in chat. And she is she this is why I don't worry about this stuff. Like, this is why I just have my fun with these people and just point out what they are, because it's all documented, it's all evidence, and then eventually the inevitable is going to happen. You can't just go around doing what these people do, and eventually YouTube catches on to it, and that's what happened to her. Now, but you got to understand, it takes YouTube a while to catch on to anything. So YouTube has not caught on to the fact that she has an alternate channel, even though she's not supposed to, but she's not bringing attention to herself. I'm guessing, this is just my guess. My theory is that she has not applied for the monetization of this channel because she's afraid of drawing attention to herself. So that's what I think personally. Now, this is funny as shit to me because she needs money real bad right now. So this is why I find this really funny.
Hey, Jonesy.
Again, this was the day that the judgment came through where she lost by default.
Art of Momming.
God, she's obnoxious.
So I just did an 1.5-hour show over there about how I know this person on the screen. Her name is Josephine Varellin. She was convicted in 1998 of murdering a social worker in Michigan by the name of Lisa Putman. And Josephine was my best friend in junior high. And so I just did an 1.5-hour long show where I talk about my friendship with her and what I knew about her, what I knew about the crime. Is going to kind of be like a 2-parter. So I spent an 1.5 hours yakking about how I know her and what my relationship was with her and the things that we did. And then I'm going to kind of get into what I learned about the abuse and stuff she suffered as a kid, because she reminds me of Letitia Stout. It's crazy. Like, there's a
bro, she looks like you and Letitia Stout had a fucking love child. Like, straight up, look at her. Oh my God. I mean, dude.
There's a lot of differences, but there's a lot of parallels. And I really kind of want to explore the generational abuse and the effect that it has on,
thank you, Patricia,
causing criminality and causing violent outbursts. Because I really think that when Dr. Dorothy Lewis takes the stand in the Letitia Stout trial, it's going to be a game.
Now, I've been getting some screenshots lately. Of what goes on in her little group. She has a Facebook group, and what she does with every case is what she got sued for. And she did the same thing with the Stout case. Okay. She not in so many words, basically blamed Al and Landon for what happened to Gannon. Very, very disgusting. And there's no reason to do that. Oh my fucking God, the love child too much. Thank you, Southwest 4x4 Explorers. Appreciate that. There's no reason for that shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just she'll start shit about people. And I mean, she did it from the Watts case to literally fucking every case that she talked about. And Ray Andriacchio just got sick and tired of it. Where's the tiara and the throne now? Cankles peasant. True Crime Dive. Thank you so much. She had to expect this coming. And what's really crazy is she can't escape it. She can't escape this part of her because it just comes from just this ugly place. Like, I'm gonna do my best to sound smart, even though the shit I say doesn't make sense. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like victim blame and then call people peasants for accusing me of victim blaming. And this is what she does. It's ridiculous.
Game changer, I think. And we're going to be able to learn a lot from Dr. Dorothy. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about learning, because I think learning is the key to progress and understanding why these things happen and how we might prevent them, how we might bring about less of them, less death, less suffering, less of these shocking murders. So thank you, Catherine. So this is just sort of a commercial for that. So please head over, and I'm going to put the link
Commercial for that,
hopefully, in the chat. And okay, so there is the direct link that you can go to become a supporter. And I have decided.
So the direct link to go to become a supporter is because she can't monetize on YouTube because she's not supposed to be on YouTube. So what she's doing is monetizing in Facebook. And I mean, she still drops her her PayPal and Cash App links and whatever, you know. Team Brittany, thank you so much. Learning is the key to progress. Exactly. Thank you. So it's just very funny to me because right now she's this little short stream that she's doing, it's fully for a grift. I wanted to come live. This is kind of a commercial for the fact that you can go support me on Facebook, on this dead fucking social media platform that fucking nobody gives a shit about anymore.
Because this is all new. All right. I had to get to a certain point where Facebook would, you know, make these offers and do these things, which is really exciting for me because financially I need to replace what I've lost. And I need to get back into the writing and the monologues and the doing the jewelry.
Hold on.
Financially make these offers and do these things because this is all new. All right. I had to get to a certain point where Facebook would, you know, make these offers and do these things, which is really exciting for me because financially I need to replace what I've lost. And I need, I need,
you don't, it hasn't been decided what you've lost yet. Like, and what do you think? I mean, what she needs to replace is what? The money you spent when you went to fucking Hawaii? When you could have went to Mississippi to face the music? What are you talking about?
Need to get back into the writing and the monologues and the doing the jewelry and doing what I love. But I need that financial support. So the membership is a great way for
sound familiar, y'all? Oh my goodness. All of these fucking pimps are the same.
People to get exclusive content, and it's a motivator for me, and people will get stuff in exchange for that.
So
on top of,
in other words, the reason why I'm not actually giving you the best quality content is because you're not giving me enough money. You're not showing me enough financial appreciation. You're not showing me enough appreciation through financial channels. That's why you're not getting the best possible quality content from me. Really? I mean, what? That's so crazy. Because at this point, I mean, which is just really funny because I mean, she tries to pretend like this is not what she is. And she's always done this. And what's really funny is a bunch of people like they're like now her circle is really small. She had a rather large circle. Okay? A rather large loyal circle seemingly when she was on top. But as soon as her channel got deleted and then came back with this alt, like, man, that got fractioned. That got really fractioned. I mean, there's creators that you know in this chat and follow in this chat that used to be tight with her just before her channel got deleted. And now nobody's around. And that just tells me that this is just an asshole who attracted people who were just simply seeing that she was making and grifting off of misery and shit. And why not build off of that? Because none of those fucking people are around. The only loyal person that she's got left is Kath. We get what we pay for, in other words, right? Reluctant healer? Exactly. Thank you so much. I mean, that just tells me that nobody had any real respect for her. None. They just fucking hung around her for God knows, excuse me, what reason? I don't know. But then she loses her channel and everyone's gone. It's magic. And then now she's got this new channel, and the only one, like I said, is Kath. That's all she's got left. And like hybrid Pisces, just always hanging out. And the only reason she's even noticeable is because there's like 5 other people in her chat. So it's it's just really, really funny to me. Like when people are like, oh my God, you're making these people pop. It doesn't matter, because now Canceled Karen is done. Okay. This is the most that she's going to get as far as any type of love or respect from an audience, because now she has proven who she is. And she could build her channel. She could try to build her channel up all she wants. The problem is that she's known for doing the shit that she already does. And therefore the standard has been raised. People see her coming now. People are on to her. She's been sued. She lost. She's not a victim of a violation of rights. She got up on her platform and she told straight fucking lies about a victim's mother. Now, I'm not saying that Christian Andreacchio was murdered. I'm saying a victim's mother. He's still a victim of suicide. He's still a victim of the depression that caused his ailment if he committed suicide. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying he's still a victim. And Ray Andreacchio, without a doubt, even if you don't think Christian's a victim and you don't have any sympathy for people who commit this horrible act against themselves, even if that's the case, Ray Andreacchio is still a victim. And she doesn't deserve to have lies told about her when it comes to the actual subject in which has traumatized her, which is just laid her out. This is a difficult thing to cope with, to say the least. And I give props to her for standing up and saying, you know what? I'm not just going to sit here and take this shit. Because that's what these tragedy pimps do. What they always end up doing, people, is they take advantage of people in this vulnerable state because they are beaten down by the dealings that they're engaged in. They're beaten down by the circumstances. And so they don't want to fight. They're just like, ugh, God, I wish these people would just leave me alone. And that's all the fight they got in them, because they're too exhausted from having to deal with losing someone so close to them in such a horrific manner. Simple. And these people feed off of that. Those are vultures. The same way that a child molester feeds off of a child's innocence, the same way that a sexual predator will feed off of a physical weakness of others and manipulate them because a child cannot consent. The same way that they feed off of that, this is where this comes from, this feeding on vulnerability. It's the same way that people like this feed off of the vulnerability of a victim who just lost someone very close to them. And that's what makes it beyond unethical. It's already unethical, but this just makes it so deplorable. And they don't see it, and they don't care. Right. And that's how this all started, by the way. I want you to know that. This is Canceled Karen's MO. what she does is she sees that somebody, a large creator, will do something, and then she'll counter it. She'll somehow go against it. So Kendall Ray flew out to Mississippi and spent time with Ray Andriacchio, collected as many facts as she could, and she made this amazingly informative documentary film. And it really made you question whether or not Christian Andriacchio actually committed suicide. But see, Cancel Karen fancies herself as an underappreciated artist on YouTube because she's a writer. She does monologues. So she feels underappreciated, and she goes, oh, she actually sees somebody with a work ethic who actually cares, and then she becomes jealous of them and then tries to oppose them in some way. The same thing happened with the Sophie case. She saw a creator was doing very well and then decided to oppose this person on an issue because this person's channel had grown significantly prior to this issue. And so out of sheer jealousy, which I proved, go back and watch Critical K Doxer is the title of it. It's like 2 years old. And all the information's in there. Everything you need to know about how despicable of a person this woman is and how just it is that somebody decided to stand up to her and take her to court and hold her accountable for her lies and her slander.
Of what I have been doing on the Patreon. So it's the jewelry I'm going to really incorporate in the Facebook thing. I'm going to get back into doing the crafting sessions and making the jewelry. And I'm part of what I built into my Facebook membership thing is
now I should tell you about the jewelry. Okay. I don't have any handy to show you at the moment, but I should tell you about the jewelry. The jewelry is fucking glass that she gets from the banks of, I guess, Lake Michigan or whatever. So trash, basically. So what she does is she ties like wire around glass that she finds like on a polluted and then wraps it up and then and makes necklaces out of it and sells them. Listen up.
Is severe discounts on jewelry for members.
Discounts.
Now, I'm not going to say that I'm going to do every necklace at a severe discount every time a member wants one, but at least that first one will be at a market discount. Let's just say an $80, what I would put as an $80 necklace, you would get for $20 if you're a member.
$80, bro. $80. Like,
what else? Thank you, Tina Fuller. Thank you for supporting me on Facebook.
Bro, $80 for trash.
Yeah, B Birch.
$80 for trash, bro. That's fucking trash as far as I'm concerned. That's just garbage.
Facebook has been really good to me. I'm excited about it. I have ads now.
Totally.
I have live. I don't have the live ads yet, but I have the streaming ads. So I'll be making money on the ads. I still need people to keep donating to the stars thing. And hopefully Facebook does a thing again where they do the bonus. Last time they did the bonus thing, I actually made a nice chunk of change, but that's been a minute since they did the bonus thing. So I really want to steer people over there. And so I'm definitely going to be doing the crafting and the jewelry making over there on that end. So, and I think I'm going to be using YouTube more to sort of promo like I'm doing right now. Like, hey, if you want to hear my monologue or you want to hear tonight's show, hop on over to Facebook and listen to it.
So she's like, yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this channel that I'm not supposed to have, that I'm too afraid of drawing attention to myself with by applying for the monetization. So I'm going to use it to promote the grifting sources. So if you guys just want to send me money for my monologues, where I just fucking ramble on and use a bunch of word salad and talk a bunch of shit and blame victims, yeah, you could come on over and pay for that shit at Patreon. Unreal.
To it there. Because Facebook, you can put it in a window and then scroll and surf and do whatever you do on Facebook. So it's just a different platform. And I have a lot of, I have a large following on there, and now multiple ways to monetize and help me get back on my feet, which I need. So, okay. That's it.
So she's remember, this is the very day. This is the night that she got the news that the judge ruled against her. So now she's taking a shit because she knows she's gonna have to pay a bunch of money she doesn't have.
That's it. That's what I got.
That's so funny to me.
I'm excited about that. It's a new day. It's a new beginning. What else?
It's a new
I'm feeling like there was something else.
It's a new beginning, y'all. This is positive. What you're seeing right now, folks, is actually her having a fucking. She's right now shitting a Jeep Cherokee on a live stream. Is what's going on. You're witnessing it. It's fascinating because she's having a brain fart from the stress, because as soon as she mentioned that she really needed this money, she's just breaking down. Like, look at her. Like she is shitting herself on a live stream right now.
Something else I was gonna say.
Oh God.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, the Madonna and Child monologue. Yeah, still work in production. I've had the stomach flu for like 2 days. I had it yesterday and then like well in today. And then I had a doctor appointment today.
Bro, and throwing in the grift, bro, because I'm sick. And throwing that shit in there. I love it, bro. Jerry, exactly, bro. Y'all don't get this one. Jerry says, send out some more Kankles pics. And the reason why that happened, because that's actually in that Doxer live, all of the receipts for that. She went to she went to Kiwi Farms and was trying to get somebody to do a dox for her. And they made her send pictures of her feet. They knew who she was, and they were just basically fucking with her. And she actually thought that she was like, attractive to somebody. And they were like, send pictures of your feet. She sent fucking pictures of her feet. Like, it was really gross. Like, in order to dox someone is what she like humiliated herself. Incredible.
Like to figure out like what's going on with me physically, like all of these crazy physical, and we're getting closer to it. Like I had a pelvic ultrasound. I've had all kinds of stuff, and we're getting closer to figuring out like physiologically what's going on with me, why I feel so lousy all the time. So
these people do this shit every time. They fucking, when they just get to a point where they just don't give a fuck anymore and just straight up beg for money, they got to throw in some physical ailments, just to fucking sweeten the deal. You know what I mean? They got to just throw in some, I got to go get my pelvic scan and pop, I've got the flu and I've been in bed and Thank you, Team Brittany.
I'll kind of go into that with the
for
Facebook
pictures of her
members
feet.
too.
I don't have them. You got to go look.
So, but I've had the stomach flu for 2 days.
Go to that
So I
live that I
haven't
got
really
pinned.
done a lot on the Madonna child, but it's a work in progress. It's coming along. And then tomorrow, we're back to the courtroom testimony for Letitia Stout, and hopefully it begins to, like, I think the prosecution, they're kind of at the point where it's a little redundant. I understand a lot of it they have to do for the record, but a lot of it has been very redundant and boring. But I think tomorrow we're going to get to hear more audio. The audio I actually find really interesting because I'm figuring Letitia out. I'm finally figuring her out.
Right.
She has been a tough nut to crack. And y'all know how.
No, she hasn't been, actually. There's nothing complicated about Letitia at all. Nothing at all. Letitia is a delusional, self-serving asshole. That's it. Like, Letitia is an entitled, narcissistic piece of shit. And I hate using the word narcissistic, but if it ever applied to anybody, it applies to her. Clearly, because all she does is talk about herself. We hear evidence of her being narcissistic. I'm not diagnosing her as a narcissist. I'm saying she's showing narcissistic behavior on a consistent basis. SW4x4 Explorers, thank you so much. I have had 2 leg surgeries since February 1st, and I could lose my leg. Anyone want to contribute to me? Should I start a GoFundMe? Jesus, I'm sorry. Yeah, I hope that gets better. I'm sorry about that. Thank you. I love that she thinks, okay, yeah, she's a tough nut to crack, and I think I figured it out. No, what you think you figured out is a way to get more viewership by being controversial. That's what you think you figured out, but it doesn't work anymore. You're done. Like, nobody gives a fuck about you anymore. And now you're just the butt of jokes, which is why you're here right now. Because now you have been sued for $10 million and lost, and you thought that just by ignoring it, it would just go away, and that didn't happen.
Know how I am. I go beneath the surface.
No, you don't.
I'm not someone who's just going to call her names and hate her and say throw her under the jail. I want to figure her out. I want to understand her, and she definitely has been a tough nut to crack.
So why wouldn't you want to just throw her under the jail? I mean, you could actually figure her out and do that throughout the trial and just accept what's happening. What do you not want to happen? Do you want her to walk free on the streets at some point? I mean, but nobody's asking that, because what she's doing is she's not making sense under the guise of being empathetic, as Tracy Ann is saying. She's so fake. Absolutely. She's trying to act empathetic. But what she's also doing is, you look at all of the things that she does, and she's like, I want to understand her. There's got to be more to her than this. I don't want to be the one to say, just throw her under the jail. Meanwhile, she is also loosely blaming Al and Landon for what happened to Gannon. So where's the empathy? I mean, because it's one thing. No, she's not playing both sides. She's not playing both sides at all. She's playing her own side.
But I'm getting closer. So
exactly.
So tomorrow we'll be back on schedule for that. Yesterday, during the trial, was more phone calls between her and Al, and quite frankly, unless you have the patience of a saint, they're difficult to get through, because you can hear Al, but you can't really. She's muffled and garbled at times, and she's histrionic and screaming. And I definitely agree with Michelle Marie that she's there's probably borderline going on there, and the borderline, and I'm going to go into that tomorrow night, how the borderline can transition over into dissociative, and there's like a lot of, in academia, there's
So you're hearing this correctly. For those of you who are following the Stout trial, she is trying to build off of a narrative that there is the possibility. She's entertaining the possibility that Letitia's defense is legitimate, that she may actually have dissociative identity disorder, even though it's clear what's going on, which is her lawyers probably said, you can't beat this. There's no fucking way you can beat this. So just plead guilty. And she says, fuck you. It's my choice. I'm going to plead not guilty because I'm not responsible. And then they say, okay, well, if that's the choice you're making because it's your right to do this, we have to come up with the best defense possible. And the best defense is absolutely reaching, because the prosecution has done an amazing job of shutting this bullshit down throughout every testimony of people who have interacted with Letitia, people who have interacted with past subjects, people, past suspects. It's very clear. Like, a jury is made up of the layman, period. So the jury are people just like you and me in this chat. Now, do I understand that we're more familiar with the case? But the jury has seen at this point most of everything that we already saw before this trial started. At this point, as a matter of fact, more. Because we knew about the attack, but we didn't see the footage. The attack against the deputy during her extradition. We didn't see the footage. But I'm saying, my point being that the jury, made up of people just like you and me, have seen the same evidence that made us make up our minds. And more overwhelming. Because if I ever thought that Letitia was innocent or thought there was a chance, that shit is gone now. So this is just her defending her to be controversial. This is what she does. Okie Crime News, just your opinion. What do you think jury will come back with? Guilty. Absolutely. So far. But and thank you, Okie Crime News. It's fine to play the layman defense attorney and try to make people think that she could be and create doubt for fun as content. Why not? There's nothing wrong with that. It's shitty. You know what I mean? It's a shitty thing to do when you know the person's guilty. You know what I mean? It's a shitty thing to do. But this is just, she's doing it for the sake of being controversial. She's not doing it to better understand things. She is trying to sound like the critical thinking way of doing things is to provide a different perspective. I mean, that's all good and dandy. Okay? That's all good and dandy. It's bullshit, but it's all good and dandy. But that doesn't excuse you creating narratives that make people think that Al is somehow responsible for what happened to Gannon, and create narratives that somehow Landon is somehow responsible for what happened to Gannon. It's just a shitty thing to do. And even if there's truth to anything that she's talking about, it's just plain shitty to point it out. It doesn't do anybody any good. These people are going through enough. Simple. These people are going through enough. They lost their little boy.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of disagreement about, was it borderline, is it dissociative? So hopefully we get that from Dr. Dorothy. We get a more clearer understanding of who Letitia is and what prompted, what caused all of this to happen. So, and then I'm going to continue to dig down into the Lumbee tribe connection.
What caused all of this to happen is simple. She's an asshole. She's an asshole. Like, all of the evidence dictates this. There's no, she wants to find that there was some sort of trigger from abuse and blah, blah. No. A lot of people are victims of abuse and they don't go out and kill people, dude. They don't kill 11-year-old boys that they're entrusted with. Lawyer Mystery Maven says, statistically, it's an extremely unsuccessful defense. Chances are high it won't work just on stats alone. Agreed. And it's just, it's clear what it is. It's just a weak defense. Letitia is using a not guilty plea to stall. Simple. She has done everything that she could to stall this process for 3 years. Here we are 3 years after her arrest. And she's having her trial finally. 3 years. Her pleading not guilty is nothing more than a stalling tactic.
Connection. And I've got more stuff on that. So, okay, that's it. See you guys over on Facebook. Head on over there. Please support me. Even if you continue to just watch me here only, but still want to support me, you might not care about the Facebook membership stuff.
God.
It's a great way to keep me going and show your support for me. So, but the special monologues, the creative writing ones, those are going to be on Patreon still. The Facebook membership stuff will be different stuff.
How do you do that?
I have like new wind in my sails. I might even go get my grays done, but I just have this new, I have this renewed burst of creative energy, and new wind in will be different stuff. I have like new wind in my sails. I might even go get my grays done, but I just have this new, I have this renewed burst of creative energy. And so, yeah. Okay. All right. See you guys over on Facebook.
Yeah. That new creative burst of energy is called fear. It's called, holy shit, do I need to get busy grifting because I just lost a $10 million lawsuit. That's all that is. It's a holy shit is what it is. So she went live tonight. I wasn't planning on going over this, but we'll go over some of it just so you guys get an idea of what kind of how she views this case, or how she discusses it. Bro. So this is you got to see the title. The title says Stauch Insanity Defense Explained. So this is somebody who, keep in mind, because I have to continue to remind you, okay? Just in case new people are showing up into the chat. This is somebody who just did a live saying Stauch's insanity defense explained. But her defense to a $10 million lawsuit was to go, stop harassing me, to legal documents being served to her. to where she's being subpoenaed. Her defense is, stop harassing me. I don't have any money. Leave me alone. La 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 la. That was the la 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 defense that she had. But she just did a whole live stream explaining Letitia Stauch's insanity defense, y'all.
At times deplorable, at other times perplexing, at other times very suspicious. But most of all, I think people were very confused by her. She didn't act like the typical accused or someone at the center. I mean, you look back and you look at other people that later on came to be guilty, and they didn't behave.
Let me tell you, nobody feels fucking confused about this woman. What this woman did, what the rare thing that happened, because it is a rare thing, believe it or not. The rare thing, this very rare thing took place here where everyone who thought the worst of her has turned out to be right so far. That shit is fucking crazy. That's a very rare thing. Most people who jump to the conclusion that this woman was guilty and why she was guilty because she's such a fucked up, shitty, mean asshole of a person. This has all come into fruition. Okay? This has happened. We've all seen it at this point in the trial. I mean, that's the craziest thing since I've been covering true crime cases, is there is this accuracy from the majority of people about this person. And I mean everything. Everything. People thinking what they were thinking during I'm not saying the details of the crime necessarily. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as to the type of person that it would take to do what happened to Gannon, she has turned out to live up to it. There's no accident. There's nothing. There's no, slip of judgment. There's no extenuating circumstances that made this person do something that they would regret later doing. She doesn't seem to regret anything. She has no remorse at all. She doesn't have any empathy towards Al, her own husband, or Landon, Gannon's mother, or her own children. Everything about this woman so far, the people who thought the worst of her have been correct about her character. That doesn't always happen, because it's not always as black and white as that. But this is plain and simple.
Behave online the way that she did. I guess the closest we've possibly come to it is Don Wells and Candace Wells' online behavior. Again, perplexing and bizarre. And you can make many inferences. You can say, well, maybe Don Wells was acting the way Don and Candace were acting the way they were because they were guilty of something. They had something to hide. They had some hand in Summer's disappearance. But, there's always alternative explanations, and it is important to keep an open mind until all of the facts.
You can't compare Don and Candace to Letitia. You can't. At least not until there's evidence that they actually did something. But the thing is there's no evidence. There's nothing, at least that we've been made aware of, that's been verified by law enforcement that they've been suspicious.
Facts are in, and particularly in the Summer Wells case, we certainly don't have all the facts. We still have a missing child, and we have nobody arrested, And we have no real clue as to what law enforcement's theories are. So we don't have a lot to go on other than our own speculation. So I at least always try to be mindful to remind myself, I just don't really know what's going on in Don and Candace's world. I can try to draw inferences.
See, you can't compare that to this. And you just explained why, yet you're still comparing the two. She's arrested. She's acting like an ass. You have a freeze frame photo of her in court giving the bird. She's already attacked a deputy. She's already plotted to try to escape from jail. Allegedly. I mean,
I can try to analyze their online behavior, but that's just one part of it. There's could be many other explanations for their behavior. And the same thing applies to Letitia. Okay.
No,
so
it doesn't.
In many ways,
not even a little bit.
If you really want to approach these cases fairly and with an open mind, it's simple. You just have to pretend you're a juror. Okay.
Right.
So that's often what I do. I just pretend that I'm a juror.
It's like she listens to my shit and then tries to fucking like it's straight up like she rips my shit off and then tries to twist it in some way. Because you don't get to say try to be a juror and then start fucking doing everything you can to make this person out to be something that she's not. I mean, the evidence in this case is overwhelming so far. I mean, a pool of blood. Everything leads to her. She even cleans up the blood, just not very well. And she's still lying to law enforcement, and then she's still pleading not guilty.
And I try to encourage people to pretend or role play like they're a juror, because it's not going to hurt you. It doesn't cost you anything to set the pitchfork down and role play, fake it till you make it type thing, that you're a juror and you are required under the law to keep an open mind about what some of the other explanations could be for someone's bizarre and perplexing behavior.
Which is awesome. That's fantastic. But see, in all this word salad and all her saying the things and using the things that I say in my live streams when covering cases, using that as some sort of curtain and some sort of misdirection to do what she's doing, in all of that, what she's forgetting here is that the defense has not given their side. There is no defense so far. Every fucking cross-examination that has taken place has been a burning, crashing disaster. Every single one. So far, the defense has completely shit the bed from their opening statements to every cross-examination so far. So I don't know what she's talking about. What other side? There is no other side's explanation. So far, the other side hasn't provided an explanation.
So I hope you kind of get where I'm going. I'm trying to be as fair as I possibly can. And I understand that's not an extraordinarily popular position to take, because the mobby, hateful, pitchforky,
everything
she's
is
guilty,
pitchfork.
Friar, throw away the key.
Everything is pitchforky, and everybody's a pitchforker, and everybody's a peasant, and nobody thinks fairly or thinks critically. You know, she's the only one who thinks critically, And it's like, no, dude, that's not thinking critically. That's just coming up with some bullshit reason to be controversial. There's a huge difference. True Crime Dime, thank you. Has Kay spoken on losing the lawsuit anywhere? Not that I know of. What I just played prior to this is the closest thing that I know of, is basically her begging for money.
Key, bring back the firing squad. This crowd, they don't like people like me because they like their anger, their self-righteousness, their indignation. They like having their villain. They like pretending to
No.
care about a child they never met. It's feel good for them.
No. Okay. So, a couple of things about what she just said. That's her delusion. See, she deludes herself into believing that she's this villain. Okay. Where at one point she kind of was. When it came to the Sophie case, and that's what she's talking about, she just had to make a reference there, which has nothing to do with the Letitia Stalk thing. But here she is talking about, or she's not talking about Sophie, and she's talking about Gannon. And in talking about Gannon, she's saying all of us people who empathize with Gannon and think, oh my God, this poor kid. Well, we're pretending to actually care because we've never met him. That's her logic, because she just fucking said so. I'll play it again.
Bring back the firing squad. This crowd, they don't like people like me because they like their anger, their self-righteousness, their indignation. They like having their villain. They like pretending to care about a child they never met. It's feel good for them. And that whole thing is fine if that's what you want to do and that's what you want to be. But I only can caution you, you don't learn anything from that. You don't grow from that, and you don't learn. You don't expand your critical thinking by having that mindset. And I lose patience easily with that mindset. I don't like seeing that over and over again.
No.
Burn the bitch.
You
fry
don't
her.
You don't like someone disagreeing with you, because in those screenshots that I shared, that was somebody who was just being respectful and giving their opinion, and you lost your shit on them. And in Critical Gay Doxer, there's plenty of her trashing people in her chat who just simply oppose her opinions, and then she humiliates them and calls them names and calls them stupid and tells them to get out of her group. You're not going to tell me what to say in my group, and blah 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 blah. It's just really pathetic that she's created this little world.
She's guilty. She wasn't insane. She knew right from wrong. I lose patience with that. It's lowbrow.
Well, what's lowbrow is just going the opposition when the evidence dictates so far. The evidence simply dictates that she knew exactly what she was doing, because we see her lying and avoiding the issue constantly. We see her reaching so desperately to avoid accountability to where she'll blame other people. She has made people up. In order to deter attention from herself. And it's not that she made people up like, oh my God, it was this person and I'm just saying this shit because I'm crazy. No. There's no way that she believes any of the things that she's saying, because she's always making sure that she lies. Always making sure that she lies, that there's always a lie and there's always a way to avoid the issue. And the fact that she is talking to law enforcement and she knows that they are saying that they're trying to get her, they're interrogating her. They're trying to catch her on something that they can use against her. She knows this. Yet she continues to talk to them without lawyering up, which I find very interesting, because what she's doing is she thinks that she's smarter than the people that she's talking to, because she's aware of the fact that she can lawyer up at any given time. She knows this. She's expressed this. She knows that she has that right. She knows that she could shut the fuck up and stop talking at any given time. But she insists on talking to this FBI agent. She insists on trying to manipulate him because she gets a high somehow from manipulating others.
Oh, smooth brain, small brain, whatever. You can only see so much of that. I like things that are more challenging and things that require of me to step outside.
Okay. But see, this is not the case for that. And I'm all for that. That's what I'm saying. This is what proves my point about her, because this is just simply not the case for that. When there is a complicated case, like the Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow thing, that's complicated because I still don't know. I'm going to wait because I'm not following the case closely, but I'm going to wait till the trial's over and I'm going to pay more closer attention to it. But I was watching a documentary on it today and I was like, wow, you know, and I'm not going to get into that, but there's reason for me to think that Lori Vallow might actually just be crazy. But there's other things that make me think, well, the kind of crazy she's claiming to be does not excuse her for her children being killed. So it just doesn't.
My small universe and my small view of things. My view of things is here in my office. I'm not in Letitia's world. I'm not in these people's world. So I cannot possibly say with any certainty what really happened. None of us can, really. And wouldn't y'all agree? I mean, that's kind of what we like about these cases. They're a mystery. So if you just come to one firm conclusion and you dig your heels in, that closes the door to learning and exploring all those other avenues, which might end up being interesting.
You see how condescending that is? Because she's talking to people like as if they're not, you know, like, yes, I have an opinion so far, but you never know. The defense might come up with a bomb, you know, just a whole mind fuck that makes me question everything. I'm open to that happening. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm open to it happening. I'm not an idiot. If I see evidence that makes me question other evidence, I'm going to go, oh shit, hold on, people. Hold on a second. We got to rethink this whole thing. I would absolutely do that. I always do that. But she's talking to her audience as though they're not capable of this. She's talking like everyone except her has their mind made up and you cannot escape. Like we're talking about politics or something, you know, like, no, if evidence presents itself, and I understand that there's some people that are like, no, I just don't accept that. And I'll just be like, what are you talking about? The evidence is right fucking there. What are you talking about? I understand that there's some people, but the majority of people have sense. You know, the majority of people who follow crime cases have sense.
Interesting. So we were all observing back in February Letitia's extremely bizarre social media, and her behavior had to have been even more bizarre off social media. If it was crazy on social media, it was probably confusing and bizarre to the people in her orbit, to the people around her. So getting back to Grusing is this FBI agent, and you should be seeing him on your screen. He's kind of this tall, lanky, you know, I hate to say it, but physically speaking, he reminds me of an old Brian Kohlberger. Like, this is a guy clearly who is interested in violent crime and has spent many years, I think he was 20 years in the FBI dealing with violent crime. He does something different now. He left the FBI.
So a guy who profiles horrible, fucked up people because he's really smart and he takes an interest in it because he wants to make a difference. You got to compare him to Brian Koberger. So the whole fucking profession is fucked now because Brian Koberger studied criminology. The whole profession now is fucked. Everybody who takes an interest is Brian Koberger, right? He reminds me of Brian Koberger because he's so interested. No, dude, like, you know what he reminds me of? Every fucking FBI agent that I've ever seen talk about a case on a fucking documentary. That is a company man. That's it. If anything, we compared him to Agent Smith because the guy is just 100% fact driven.
But he's different. That's what I will say. He's kind of a different fellow. And he's the one who sits down with Letitia after her arrest on March 2nd. So Letitia had this entire month of February 2020 where she was spinning out online, and then she's arrested March 2nd prior to them finding Gannon's remains. Gannon's remains were not found until, I believe, the 17th. I don't have my date cheat sheet in front of me. So she was arrested prior to them actually finding his remains, but they based her arrest on the fact that there was enough blood in his bedroom to indicate that some sort of violent event occurred in there that caused him to have enough blood loss that he was no longer living. She's the last one with him, and she's demonstrated all of this bizarre behavior and consciousness of guilt behavior. And so they arrested her in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. She had just dropped her daughter Harley off at an Air Force recruiter office, and as she was leaving, they zoned in on her, blocked her car from the front and the back, and arrested her without incident. She went away without incident, and she sat down with Grusing and did this interview. She didn't have to. She could have asked for a lawyer. She could have said, I'm not saying a word. I want a lawyer, but she didn't. She once again sat down. So they go through the audio.
You see how she does that to like, and you see how she does that to give her credit? Like she's being cooperative. That's not why she did it. It's clear why she did it. She thinks she's smarter than Grusing. She gets a high and a kick out of manipulation because her life's on the line and she doesn't have any fucking evidence to prove her innocence, even though it's not on her to prove it. But if I'm going to talk to somebody without a lawyer, the only chance of that happening is if I'm like, dude, I can absolutely prove my whereabouts. I can absolutely prove to you that I did not fucking do this. And this is why, this is why, this is why, this is why. I'll take as long as it takes. But that's not what she did. She just sat there trying to bullshit this guy for 5 hours. She wasted 5 hours of this guy's time and resources and every other officer that was there. So, no, she wasn't being cooperative. She wasn't like, hey, she could have asked for a lawyer at any time. No, yeah, she could have asked for a lawyer at any time, but she chose not to because she thought she was smarter than Grusing, period. She was trying to use him to manipulate everyone else. I'll talk to you, but I'm not talking to all those people. That's playing childish baby games.
Grusing. And at times she's very garbled. And I have people saying to me, well, she's less garbled if you tune into the WebEx, but he's coming across clear to me. So I think at times she trails off her sentences and she becomes garbled. So, but you can get the general gist of it. And so now here we are, March 2nd. She's finally been arrested. officially arrested. Remember, there had been times prior to this that they, quote, detained her, but now she's been officially arrested. And her story, of course, is changing yet again. And this time she starts talking about, she's rambling about a pregnant woman with cash under her belly, forcing her into the Petco. She says to,
so she must be crazy, right?
And she had said,
there's a strategy to her using this shit. It's because she thinks that they're going to follow every lead. That's what she thinks. She thinks that, well, they're looking for a missing child, and I can buy time and stall. And the way that I can do that is I can try to outsmart them and send them on a wild goose chase. This is not crazy behavior. It's not uncommon for criminals to do this. It's actually quite common for criminals to do this. So for her to sit here and be like, oh, well, she's, crazy. Oh no, she's, this is not a sane person. No, it's a liar playing games. They're never going to find a pregnant lady pretending to have cash under. But she assumes because everybody's so desperate to find Gannon that they're going to follow every lead. And if they're out there chasing that imaginary lady or Eduardo or Quincy Brown, well, then that's more time that she gets to waste.
In phone calls, pretext phone calls, many of which Grusing was involved in, she had said in pretext phone calls to Al, essentially, I need you to believe that someone took Gannon. And this was the approach that she was taking again with this FBI agent. Like, I need you to believe me that there's this elaborate scheme by whomever, and they've taken Gannon, and I need protection, is really what she's kind of hyper focused on. I need you to give me immunity or protection or blah, blah, blah. And he's not going for it. FBI agent Grusing is probably the first one to kind of lay it down with her. I know Al did, but that's different. That's her husband that she's clearly manipulated for many years. This is an FBI agent she cannot manipulate. And he essentially says to her, look, the jig is up. All of these stories, we know they're BS. We know that there's a truth, and you're holding back that truth. And global. I mean, I just think that that's very disturbing. And it's interesting to me that he even says, well, it's because of 9/11. So because of 9/11, this has required the FBI to be mentality. The jurors that have been seated in Letitia Stauch's case are not allowed to have the mentality of throwing rotten fruit at her and calling her a witch and saying, throw her under the jail. And she did this. She's guilty.
Right.
End of story. They're not allowed to have that mentality.
But they're not.
They are required by the judge to listen.
That's why they were chosen carefully. That's what jury selection is for. So they were chosen carefully, and they're not of this mindset. But we're all watching the trial. And watching the trial, we're seeing that the prosecution is absolutely providing evidence that she is not crazy, that she is conniving and manipulative and evil and self-centered. They are showing evidence of this. The conniving, manipulative, self-centeredness is in all of the behavior going around it. Going around the one fact that she is pure evil. And that evil is her shooting, bludgeoning, and stabbing an 11-year-old boy. And what the motive seems to be is because he pooped his pants. That's what the motive seems to be.
Listen to both the prosecution and the defense. and then decide what's reasonable. But they have to give both fair and equal footing and a fair and equal shot. So my argument to people following the case, if the jurors are required to do that, why can't you?
We are. All of us are.
It costs you nothing. And you will grow and learn from it. You might learn something that you didn't know. Your brain might be opened to understanding something that you didn't understand before. But if you have the peasant mentality and you allow anger and righteous indignation to guide and lead your thoughts about this case and others,
you see how
you're effectively closing the door.
You see how she gaslights her audience? Like, if you don't agree with me, then what you're doing is you're being pitchforkers. You're being peasants. You're jumping to an unfair conclusion about this person. Trying to make you forget that you've been watching 3 weeks of evidence being presented. 3 weeks of evidence proving that Letitia Stout is a very shitty person.
On critical thinking and learning something you might not know, or an understanding, coming to an understanding of something you might not understand. Dr. Dorothy Lewis will be taking the stand for the defense. She's widely regarded, highly respected Yale psychiatrist. And she has spent the bulk of her career working with this specific diagnosis. So even when you come at me and you say, well, it's not a real diagnosis.
Now,
okay.
This person hasn't even taken the stand yet. And as I understand it, we don't even really know the witness list that I saw didn't specify who was for the defense and who was for the prosecution. It was just a witness list. So how does she know who is hold on. True Crime Dime, thank you so much. She wants her audience to have sympathy for Letitia because she wants them to have the same sympathy and thought process for her current lawsuit situation. Good point. Absolutely. I agree with that. She does this. She did this with another case where there was a lawsuit. She did this with another case where there was a lawsuit, and she was it was Johnny Depp. Yeah, she jumped on the Johnny Depp bandwagon, and she was simping for Amber Heard. Like, of course she was, because Johnny Depp was suing her, and then she tried to make Johnny Depp out to be an abusive piece of shit when he was able to prove that he wasn't, on top of the fact that he was able to prove that she was in court. So, you know, she wants you to think like a juror, right? But here we are, the jury of public opinion, and the judge even ruled in Johnny Depp's favor. And I don't even know, was there a jury? I don't even know if that was a jury trial or not. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, she's constantly inconsistent, and people just fail to see the overall inconsistencies. The only consistency is that she's always trying to go the opposite direction as how the majority of people are going. That's her consistent MO. And this is no different. She's hoping to get a hate audience. Because with a hate audience, then she gets sympathizers. And if she gets to sit there and go, oh my God, I'm the big villain and everyone's coming after me, which is what she did with her original channel. I'm the big villain and everyone's coming after me because I think critically. Bap, 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 bap. And then she had all these idiot supporters that were like, poor Kay's being attacked. And all she's doing is sharing her knowledge with all of us. And then they fucking shoot money at her. Just fucking hilarious.
not according to the expert who will be taking the stand, whom the judge is requiring the jury to listen to and give a fair shot. So let's get into what Letitia's defense is going to probably look
Thank you,
like.
yada yada.
Now, this is from SchaussLaw.com. The insanity defense in Colorado negates criminal liability if the defendant suffered from a mental condition that prevented him or her from knowing right from wrong, or from being able to formulate the criminal intent necessary for the crime. So it's not, in Colorado, it's not just if they know right from wrong. There's another prong. Were they able to form the criminal intent necessary for the crime?
Of course they were.
Defendants found not guilty by reason of insanity may avoid prison and
Dude,
instead be committed
She put his body in a suitcase and then tried to confuse police by renting different cars and then taking the car and Yannen's body to Florida and throwing him over an overpass. That's not crazy. That's calculated. That's someone trying to get away with a crime. Period. That's not someone asking for help. Oh my God, I'm crazy. I did something horrible and I murdered my son, my stepson. Or in her case, the way she likes to say her own son. She tried to claim Gannon for hers. So,
to a mental hospital or evaluated as an outpatient. In this article, our Denver, Colorado criminal defense attorneys will answer 7 key questions about the insanity defense. What is insanity under Colorado law? Defendants are considered insane at the time of the offense if they were either, number 1, so diseased or defective in mind as to be incapable of distinguishing right from wrong, or, in all caps, suffering from a condition of the mind caused by mental disease or defect that prevented them from forming a culpable mental state that is an essential element of a crime charged. Under the first prong, the defendant's mental capacity to distinguish between right from wrong is measured against the societal standard of what is right and wrong. It is not a subjective standard. But set that aside because that's not where her defense is going. The second prong, where the defendant is so disordered that he or she cannot form criminal intent, applies only to cases where the defendant is facing charges for a specific intent crime. Specific intent crimes are offenses where the defendant's mindset.
see, this is just really funny because this is all bullshit as far as her argument goes. Because this shit didn't happen. What happened was, as someone stated here in the chat, Laura Stevens' life, caused by jealousy. Okay, jealousy is not, it's worse than drugs or alcohol. Love your channel. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Betty Davis. I appreciate it. Yeah, the prosecution can prove that her motive, part of her motive, was jealousy. She hates Landon. She's admitted. The jury has already heard her say how much she hated Landon. There is a list of Google searches where she's asking Google, like as if Google is her fucking Dear Abby, and is saying, how do I find a husband willing to just pay me to hang out with his kids? How do I get my husband to appreciate me more than his ex or some shit like that? I mean, there's so much shit that shows, there's so much that shows that she was jealous of Landon, that she will not give Landon the respect of being Ganon's mother, and then on top of, like, as an expression of showing Landon that disrespect, she refuses to acknowledge that she's his mother by saying that she herself is Ganon's mother. See, no decent person will ever do that, even if the parent isn't perfect. Okay? If you've ever been a step parent, you know, and you're a decent person. Because my stepdaughter didn't start calling me dad until she was already a teenager. And she chose to do that. I didn't ever put that pressure on her. No, never once. And there were times that she was angry and would say things like, I wish you were my dad, and I wish he wasn't. And I would correct her and say, listen, that's still your dad. He may not be perfect, and he may disappoint you from time to time, but that's still your dad. And then the only reason that I did that, even though I understood she was entitled to those feelings, but at the same time, she was still a child. She was not old enough to decide whether that person having that much impact and weight in her existence, she was not old enough to decide whether that person should be in her life or not. She just wasn't old enough to make that choice yet. But when she became old enough is when she said, you know what? I'd rather call you dad. If that's how you feel, then I would be honored. But that's what a step parent does. One with a heart, one that's caring, one that actually wants their child to develop normal under abnormal circumstances. Extenuating circumstances. You know, it's a bummer. No, I wasn't the best stepdad ever, but I'm saying I love my little girl, you know? So, and I respected her as a child. And it wasn't even out of respect for her dad, even though I liked him. He wasn't perfect, but I liked the guy. I still like the guy. He's not a bad guy. There were just things that could have been better. Certain things could have been better. You know, I made my mistakes. He made his mistakes. We all make our mistakes. But even in making those mistakes, there's a certain given respect and bond that you never, ever break or disrespect. And you don't get to dictate yourself into a child's life who is not yours. You just don't get to do ever. That is absolutely the relationship that you have with a stepchild is absolutely up to the stepchild as far as who sets the boundaries. It's up to the kid. They didn't ask you to come in their life. They didn't ask you for that. So you build a bond with them through a respect. This is your house. It's not mine. It's yours. You didn't have any say over me coming here. This is your house. That's how you treat a stepchild, in my opinion. You don't say, hey, I'm here now, and this is how it's going to be, and blah, 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 which is exactly what Letitia did. Where's your mom been? You could tell she's that type of person. Where's your mom? I'm the one that's here. Where's your mom? See, that's not helpful to a child. It doesn't benefit the child in any way. It doesn't benefit their growth in any way, shape, or form. And that's not crazy. That's selfish and entitled. Selfish and entitled people, that doesn't get to be broken down into a mental health disorder. That's just being an asshole. Sometimes people are just assholes. Okay? I'm just not going to accept that there's some sort of mental health disorder that could be helped when people do not have any empathy for other people and how their actions affect others. I just don't. And Letitia's one of those people. She's not even saying what's wrong with me. I don't seem to care what the fuck is going on with everybody else. I know there's an 11-year-old kid missing, and I just don't seem to give a fuck. Something's wrong with me. She doesn't even do that. This is a person who is just sitting there trying to make an excuse for beating, stabbing, and shooting a kid to death. She's just stalling the process. And it's insulting to this person's audience. It's insulting to her own audience that she's trying to just make people not pay attention to that. I mean, it's clear. Because I would want my audience to know. Because if anybody in this chat just so happens to end up dating someone who has kids and they don't have any of their own, I would want them to take what I just talked about away with that, with them in this, after leaving the stream. I would absolutely want that. I would want them to take what I just said away with them. And so that they can go and they can look at this kid and be like, you know what, just because this is a kid, you know, and if their parent doesn't teach them respect for elders, then you don't need to be with that person either. You can have your own self-respect, but it's not between you and the kid. I promise you that. Because if you go into this situation and the kid is just being disrespectful, even though you're just kind of staying in your own lane and trying to let the kid adjust, and they're just being an asshole consistently, and their parent isn't doing anything about it to try to help the kid adjust to the situation, well, then you should probably reevaluate the situation. But it's definitely not the kid's fault. It's your significant others who has the kid. Period. And you need to reevaluate the situation for yourself. Oh man, how do I feel about AI? I've seen The Matrix too many times to be comfortable with it. I'd have to. I know it's a subject that most people are talking about right now. My kids are grown, so it's not really a concern for me anymore. So, I know Josh from the dad. Oh, how do I feel about Al? Oh, how do I feel about Al? I think Al is a guy who is just trying to do the best he can. You know, I mean, here's the thing: is I'm not going to discuss the ins and outs of Al and Letitia's relationship. You know what I mean? Not unless it pertains to the crime itself, directly to the crime itself. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to sit here and talk about Al and Landon, and you know, like I know when I had Tracy Ann up here, Chasing Truth, that we discussed, and she let me know about that, and I heard that before. I just forgot all about it, but because I just don't think about those things. But apparently, Al cheated on Landon with Letitia, and blah blah blah, and after she told me that, I had my issues with it. I had my opinions. But the thing is those opinions don't matter when it comes to the crime. They just don't. Because there's a lot of people that make poor choices in relationships. And just because that person had poor judgment in a spouse, it doesn't mean, unless there were just straight red flags that made you go, that person might kill my kid, and then you ignored those red flags. Because lying about a pregnancy, that's not a red flag that they're going to kill your kid. Lying about people flirting with her, you know, that are your work buddies, that's not a red flag that that person's going to kill your kid. It's a red flag that they're going to do you dirt. But that's Al's business if he wants to put up with it or not. If he had every indication that they had a functional relationship, Letitia, Gannon, Lena, if Al had every indication that they had a functional relationship, then that's fine. It was up to him to set the standards for what he's willing to put up with in a relationship. It's not my business. It's not yours. But I refuse to contribute to this man already feeling some sort of guilt. I refuse to use my platform to add to that for any reason. I think that the fact that he's thinking about it and will always think about it for the rest of his life, that's not for anybody, one of us, to touch, because he's the one going through it and you're not. So fuck off and leave him alone. I mean, that's shitty. I mean, how many of you guys have made horrible decisions in your life? How many of you guys have done somebody that you love dirt? And if you say that you never have, you're either a fucking delusional douchebag or you're just delusional. Or you're a fucking liar. But that doesn't make you, that doesn't put you in a position to be blamed for this person who you had poor judgment on for killing your child. That's not fair. That's not, it's misplaced. It's simply misplaced. That person is responsible for their own actions. Nobody is going to think that the person that they love is going to destroy what they love the most. And he's always going to blame himself to some degree. And I say it's misplaced. And therefore, I will never, ever add on to that. Never. And I think anybody who does is a fucking asshole. But yes, Amy, good call. Absolutely. Now, at this point, I mean, this woman is, you just seen, even to this day, on a platform that she's not even supposed to be on, exactly what she's been sued for, she continues to do. And yet we just saw her in a panic over money because this was her reaction video to her getting the news that she lost this lawsuit. And then her response, what she does in a panic, is goes live for 11 minutes to beg people for money. Because she got sued for $10 million for doing exactly what she's doing with the Stout case. I mean, people like this don't learn. You know? Like, does she get to plead insanity? Even though her actions are completely fucking insane, does she get to plead insanity to not win that lawsuit? Or to not be to not have the lawsuit dismissed, even though her actions in dealing with it were completely insane? Does she get to claim insanity because she just thought that covering her ears and going, nope, I'm not being sued, you can't sue me, no, That was her defense. So does she get to claim insanity? Because that's something an insane person would fucking do. But no, realistically, she would not get to claim insanity because we've seen what she does. We've seen constant evidence of the type of person that she is. Just because somebody does something insane, it doesn't mean that they're not accountable for their actions. So, people, a lot of us love to talk about these crime cases. You know, a lot of us love to talk about these crime cases. But I mean, it's just a matter of time before JLR gets yaxed. It's just a matter of time before Bullhorn Betty gets yaxed. It's just a matter of time. If you're going to talk about crime cases, this is a perfect example. This person who I'm covering in this stream is a perfect example of what not to do in the true crime community, because this is what will happen to you eventually. Engage with empathy. Engage with empathy when you cover crime cases, or you're bound to get yaxed. Don't get yaxed, folks. Guys, I love you. I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for everything. We will do this again very soon, my friends. I will see you tomorrow during the trial. I will be streaming that 11 a.m. Eastern. So, yes. Love you guys. See ya.